So, Deanna, thanks for joining me. Will you just tell us a little bit tell us who you are, your business?
Yes.
And
Deanna LaRue. I am a financial advisor. This is actually my 15-year anniversary of owning TimeWise Financial, my financial planning company.
awesome, good, good. So, I just want to talk a little bit today about you coaching with me and why you started coaching with me. And gosh, we were just talking, it's been what, 6 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah, so what was it that really made you decide to actually do your first strategy session with me and decide to, make that first step?
Well, I think number one, I've always been taught to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. And anytime I saw you talking at networking groups or events, you just had a lot of valuable information that I would take home with me and ponder on. And so the strategy session, since it was complimentary, I thought, what do I have to lose? And going to that strategy session, then just learning all of the areas that I could benefit from growing, and pointing out some of the struggles that I was having that I didn't even recognize that I was having.
Oh, so good. So we've coached on and off it's been about 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the very first coaching that we did was around an event that or like a lunch and learn.
Yes, and it was, as a financial advisor, I wanted to get in front of Coca-Cola employees. Mm-hmm. At that point in time. They're headquartered in Atlanta, and one thing that I'm good at is the vision, the big picture, and I knew that was the direction that I wanted to go. Coca-Cola, I could get in front of a lot of people. With them being headquartered in Atlanta, I could offer this lunch and learn at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. This is what I could talk about, but all of the logistics of how to get people to come, how to make sure that people weren't just ordering the biggest steak on the menu. What if people didn't come? Did I reserve a whole giant conference room for no reason? And so it was great because you helped me create a limited menu. I would have never thought of that idea. So not asking them to create the limited menu, but I create the limited menu. Give them one option for their lunch entree and a dessert if they'd like. And if no one shows up, then I didn't rent a whole conference room. And just walking through how to invite them, how to entice them to come, and what the follow-up looked like from that.
Awesome. And so with that, how quickly were you able to implement your Coke?
Oh my gosh, I said maybe 6 months from starting to work with you, and I remember you said, why not next month? And I about fell out of my chair. There is no way. And I think that's very common for, especially a planner like myself, to get in that analysis paralysis of everything's got to be perfect before I move forward. And you just held me accountable and made me feel empowered that I could do it that next month. So it was scary, but I had you, and it made me feel better.
So good. And so are you still running your Coke events?
Yes.
And how have they?
They've been very successful. It's a well-oiled machine, and with that kind of running in the background, now I've been able to work on other areas of growth in my business as well.
Awesome, so good. So we did that, and then we did some one-on-one coaching. So we kind of took a break, and then you were having some struggles with.
Yeah, you start bringing on more business, and with that comes growth pains, and which are good and bad. And so then it was, I don't have a handbook. I am a small business. So how does that organizational chart look like? I can't continue to wear every single hat and produce at what I was producing at. So what does growing the team then look like? And that is very scary to have that many people be dependent on you for their family's livelihood. And just walking through what that looked like was very eye-opening with you, and again made me feel more empowered, laying out the roles and knowing that if I let go of some of those hats that I was wearing, then I could grow even bigger. And that's exactly what happened. I remember drawing that organizational chart out with you, and it was in a perfect world, what would it look like? And I think maybe 6 months after we drew that together, it happened.
Yeah.
So
I remember that coaching session distinctly, because I just remember saying, your world is about to change. And the people that you think are going to stay on your team will, once you set these intentions, they will, if they're going to rise up or they're going to shift out. And so I remember it wasn't like, it was a shift
yes,
in good ways. And then there was just those times that you're just like, what do we do? Hold
yes,
on.
yeah, absolutely.
So now, how big is your team? So
There-
then it was how many, and then now how big?
There was 3 of us, and now there are 7 of us, about to be 8.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Thank you.
And it's helped. I mean, you're scaled your business. You have an amazing team. So the next phase that we did was we started doing because you hired people like that.
Yes. Yeah. So the organizational chart came into fruition exactly how we had laid it out. And while you and I had put together the optimal duties and roles for each position, you have to be fluid and flexible, and things are going to come up, and maybe someone that you hired, their strengths are greater in an area that I was able to recognize. And so then from there we started doing the team coaching, bringing them all together, because it was hard for me as the business owner now I'm a financial advisor. So my passion and the reason I got into the business was to do financial planning.
Right.
And I think this happens often with a chef. They know how to cook, but then if they go open a restaurant and they hire the whole staff and doing the taxes and the payroll and the accounting, that is a lot. And so you were able to help me really pull the strengths out of all of my team members and help them set goals for themselves. I was always feeling like I had to create every process for them, and I had to set all of their goals for them. And it was nice when you would say, why do you need to own that? Let them own it. Ask them to create that process, them to create that procedure, and then you hold them accountable, and they have something measurable and realistic to get to.
And it's huge because it takes so much pressure off of you.
Yes. Yeah.
But your company was also going through a transition with all the software. Your actual brokerage, right? Like you guys were shifting during this time too. So everything changed for you. Your
Everything,
software, your
yes.
client, interface, all of that. So you really it was a lot on your plate, but you guys did it seamlessly and streamlined it. And
it was a lot, just with the internal change that I had in moving buildings, buying a building. So moving the office, growing the team, doing rebranding in the midst of that, and my back office, my broker dealer, making changes in their names, their location, everything got uprooted.
it was.
And so that can very easily feel incredibly overwhelming if you don't have a plan.
Right.
And you were definitely able to help me break it down because what I was looking at was all of it.
Yeah, at one time.
The whole end. I've got to accomplish all of this, and you were able to help me break it down into quarterly goals. So it felt more attainable. I didn't feel so overwhelmed. My team didn't feel so overwhelmed.
Right.
We all felt like we could do that in quarter one, sure. And then, I remember another thing, it was a huge thing that you taught me, was to make sure that you stop and look back from where you came from and be proud of yourself and make sure you reward yourself. So I had a few spa days and yes, for my rewards. And I think that's very important. And rewarding the team as well when they accomplish goals.
That's so good. So what would you say to someone who is thinking about coaching or who has a business, that might have some objections to doing it, or, what would your advice be to someone?
Well, I think that, objections is a good question, because I remember when I first went to that strategy session with you, I was thinking, I'm a financial advisor. She can't know about my business and also coach somebody that is a restaurant owner and a mechanic. She's not going to be able to understand my business and really truly help me. But just going to the strategy session and recognizing that I guess it doesn't matter what business it is. All of us business owners are going through the same struggles, which is self-doubt that comes in. I think to be an entrepreneur and be a business owner, you typically are a visionary and you're good at visualizing the big picture, but implementing it, that's the scary part. And I think we all struggle with some of the self-doubt. I think this is a great idea as of this morning, and now by lunch I'm already questioning myself.
Right.
So having somebody else to brainstorm with, is this a good idea? And hearing you being supportive, but not also playing devil's advocate.
Right.
Do you think this is a good time to do that? So I think we all suffer from self-doubt. We suffer from that organizational structure when we are growing. We suffer from letting things go. Nobody can do it better than I can do it. And that is a learned behavior. And oh gosh, okay, I'm gonna let you do this.
That was a big one for you.
Yes.
That was huge.
I still struggle with that.
But I think we, as entrepreneurs, we all do, right?
Yeah.
Because it's our baby.
Yes, exactly. And so it's just nice to have, it can be lonely as the business owner. You could be surrounded by your team, surrounded by your family, but yet still feel lonely because people are dependent on you. And I didn't feel so lonely when I have you on my side, kind of feeling, you knew my business, you learned my business.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. No, and I think that's a really big point, because with coaching, it's not the industry. It is the entrepreneur themselves. And we all have our own style, but it's not also me as the coach telling you what to do. It's more me pulling the answers out of you, because they do lie within you, and then helping you create that plan, and then getting the team to help implement it.
Yes.
So you can be hands-off,
Yes.
So, no, I think that's really good. So, well, thank you so much.
Yes, of course. Of course. Thank you.